Hey, what's up y'all? Welcome back to my channel. Putting on the old Power Stroke hat because today I mean business. All right, what we're doing today is actually getting after my EGR Delete. I'm removing the whole entire system. I got my kit right here. It's been sitting in my garage for about, I want to say at least a month, maybe even 2 months. Kit's looking nice. It has the coolant bypass, so that's going to go on top of that cylinder head. It's going to look sweet. Anyways, a lot of benefits to it, but right now I'm at the point where I have some time. I have the next 3 days. By the way, hope y'all had a happy Thanksgiving, spent some quality time with your family, ate some great food, found something to be thankful about. I know I am. We have a newborn. She's about 5 weeks old, so like that's been amazing for all those girl dads out there. Yeah, welcome me to the club. But yes, 5 weeks old. But yeah, let's go ahead and go get a before video, and then we're gonna get straight to it. So if anything, this is integral to the before video. This is like step 0 right here. Anyways, let's get a good look at that intake box. That's gonna come off. I'm gonna have to do something with this. That's going away. I've kind of been hesitant to actually start the job, but today I found some motivation, and I'm just going to go for it. Whatever happens, happens. But at the end of the day, it really isn't too hard of a process. It's just going to be a little finicky trying to get those sockets on those bolts, just like any other job. It's what we signed up for the Power Strokes. Yeah, it's going to be easier on the Rams and the Cummins, but it's definitely doable. So I'm just going to get straight into it, not wasting any time, and yeah, follow along. All right, guys, so a series of significant events already happened. All right, so within the last 10 minutes, sprayed PB Blaster, removed the intake, and that was just the 2 couplers, removed the negative side batteries or disconnected the terminals. And then what I did actually very first was spray that PB Blaster again. Well, actually step 0. I took the truck around, got it up to operating temp, kind of beat it up a little bit, and came straight back, left the truck on. So what I'm going to show you, and hopefully you'll be able to see, is the bolt down there. So that one was already removed. This one was the easier one. What I'm working on right now is removing bolt number 2. All right, so this one was a little difficult to loosen. I kind of felt like I was going to break it, but I gave it a little more ass. And now what you see here is a bolt that is completely loose and awaiting extraction. All right, I think you can probably not see that. Maybe right there, maybe not, but this one is loosey-goosey. Both of them are out. All right, let me go ahead and take off these bolts, and I'm going to show you my setup. All right, guys, so I got the dreaded EGR pipe that usually these 2 bolts give a lot of people some issues. All right, so I'm gonna let you know what I did and give you some context to at least help y'all out as much as I can. So my truck is a 2019. So it's about fast forward 2 years and some change, so not too long. Now it may be a little difficult if you're doing this right now and your truck's a 2011, bolts have been on there, dealing with heat exchanges, heat fluctuations for a decade. So this may be a little more difficult. My truck's only 2 and some change old, so this is why it probably was so easy. All right, so first things first, PB Blaster. I sprayed this for the last 2 weekends on all the bolts for the EGR pipes. All right, so 2 weekends ago sprayed it, and then last weekend sprayed it, and then this morning sprayed it again. Warmed up the truck, and it was good to go, operating temp. Pulled it up on my front driveway and went straight after these 2 bolts. This was step number 1 for me. That's just me. So don't forget these gaskets. Here's one. Here is the other. Gonna be using them again, I think. So just tidy them up, clean them up. These 2 bolts, 8mm. These were very simple. I used a 1/4 inch drive ratchet, an extension, and just a 8mm socket. Those are very easy to get to, very easy to come out. Let's see, not too crazy build up. Yeah, these won't have the buildup that everyone talks about. So, all right, this was another 8mm bolt. You can take that out too. Let's rotate this around. This was bolt number 1. This was a little centered, closer to the center of the truck. So this one was not bad, 8mm. This one was easy, a little hard to initially loosen up, but the bolts, come on. I ain't gonna focus as much. Bolt looks pretty good. All right, this one was definitely hard to loosen initially, but this came out really well after that. No fight as I was loosening up the bolts. So that's my experience, guys. PB Blaster. Don't expect this to be as easy as what it happened to me, but I hope so. So these two 8mm bolts are out. Let me go ahead and show you how it looks. All right. So right there, those were the 2 bolts. Bracket was right here. All right, and then the 2 bolts down south. I covered it up with a rag. I hope y'all can see this. It's hard for me to see. So I'm having a hard time focusing. All right, so that is looking about as good as it's gonna get. All right, so there we are, focused in, those 2 bolts. I'm gonna cover it with a shop towel. But yeah, PB Blaster, PB Blaster, PB Blaster is what I'm gonna say. Came straight out for me, but then again, my truck's only about 2 years old. Getting after this EGR. All right, guys, I did post a photo on YouTube and Instagram. If you're not a follower on my Instagram, I'll go ahead and put the link or my name down below. Please follow. I have like 300 followers, but like 12,000 subscribers. So please go check that out. I put a before photo, and I'm also gonna post an after photo. I ask that y'all please help me out. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. And then Instagram, follow my page. I put some good stuff on there. But let me go ahead and continue this process. Whoops, almost forgot. All right, so for these 2 back bolts, let me try and place it the way it was on the truck. All right, so here was facing down. All right, guys, for this back bolt, all right, again, I have my 12 to 15 inch extension, 8mm socket down below. You had adequate amount of space to go directly down and rest that socket on top of that bolt. I highly advise you do that. For this one, it's gonna be a little more difficult to place it right on top. You may have to use a U-joint, which is exactly what I did. But that was the process, or my tools used to take out those 2 bolts. All right, guys, so next step, I wanna do this one next. I went ahead and disconnected this wire. It's right underneath. Intake pipe. All right, so it's connected right down here. Just disconnect it. One's gonna fling around. All right, so what I want to do next, because the motor is still hot, I want to go ahead and remove this pipe. So we have an 8mm right there, 8mm right here, and I'm just using a 6-inch extension off of a 1/4 drive ratchet, 8mm socket. I'm gonna go ahead and get these 4 out. I also PB Blastered these, so don't be afraid to use that lubricant in order to help you out with this entire process. But since it's already hot, I want to get after these bolts ASAP. All right, guys, making some strides here. About no more than 30 minutes into this project. Just 4 8mm bolts. Nothing crazy. These weren't difficult at all. So yeah, let's move on to the next step. So what we got to do, unplug your EGR. I've done this a while back already. There's going to be 1 connector. Just remove these, set them off to the side. I got my shibby plug kit on. I did remove this vacuum line right here. You will hear it. Came from right there. All right, next, remove this T line. All right, so this was actually connected to this. So what we're doing is actually bypassing. We're using a brass connector to pair this line with this one. So this one's actually getting bypassed. Beware, since I didn't drain any coolant, you're gonna have some. So if you did have a cup like right here to drain in all the fluid, and it's not gonna be much, but just something so that it doesn't run down your serpentine belt. Also, remember, don't let anything go through your intake manifold. Keep protecting that. I will get some couplers for these 2 lines. But yeah. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove these 2 bolts I already did. But as you can see, there's one right here, right there, and then the other one is right there. 8mm bolts. Go ahead and remove those, because that will get in the way. So go ahead and remove that. Make sure your vacuum line is out of the way. All right, so after you remove those clips, I went ahead, pulled this off, right? Just kind of separating things from the EGR, getting it ready to pull it out. This thing right here, I removed this small little snippet. Let's see. Yeah, everything looks pretty good. Looks like I can pull it out. Vacuum line out of the way. This, just preparing everything to remove the 6 bolts that secure the EGR bolt on top of the head. So I'm probably gonna have to move this. Let me see. Yep. So probably move this out. Let's see if I can get this. Anyways, something with this grid connector. Anyways, I'm gonna move this out of the way so that I can have, I guess, the freedom to remove the EGR after these 6 bolts are taken off. So yeah, let me go ahead and figure this out real quick. Alright, so I moved this hose out of the way. There's like a locking washer on there. What I did was just use one of these picks, kind of push it closer to this hose and then push it up while pulling up, and just move that out of the way. Move everything out of the way. So now it's going to be getting the 6 bolts to get this EGR cooler out. What you want to make sure and do is have adequate buckets just to catch all the coolant, unless you drained all your coolant before. So let's go ahead and move into those bolts. Alright, so there's going to be some that are 10 millimeter, some that are 8. Alright, so here, I think this is one right there. So one right there, that's what it looks like. One right here, underneath this wire, this is an 8 millimeter. Let's see. There's another one right there. That one looks to be a 10. And then there's one back in there. I think you can see it. There it is. Hopefully. There's one. Alright, second one is going to be right behind this hose. There it is. And then there's one right there, 10 millimeter. That one. So let's go ahead and work on that. You're gonna have to use an assortment of extensions, U-joints. All right, so we got the EGR out. A little leaky, yeah, I know. It's all good. All right, so here it is, out and about. Looking pretty good. Intake looking pretty clean. Kept that rag right there. A little bit of coolant came out. All right, opens it up quite a bit. So let me show you. I'll show you what other videos don't. Specifically where these bolts, where you need to look for. All right. So what you're gonna have, and this is facing the front. All right, and this is facing towards the rear of the truck. So we're gonna come up on one. This is an 8 millimeter. It's a long bolt. Don't forget its brother right here in the center. Another one. It's another long bolt, 8 millimeter. You're gonna have a third right here. Okay. This is another long bolt with a washer, 8 millimeter. You're gonna come up off to the middle. Now this one's a shorty. This is an 8 millimeter as well. Go across the other side. This one's gonna be a 12 millimeter. So it was not a 10 that I mentioned earlier. This is a 12. You may need a deep socket because that may be sticking out a little too much. All right, back left, 8 millimeter. All right, and then the back right. All right, so this is another 12 millimeter, but you're not gonna see it like that. There's gonna be another bolt that you're gonna have to remove. This is a 10, I believe, and this is securing a wire, kind of like a ground wire. So you remove that first, and then use the 12 millimeter. Remove that bolt. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 bolts. I know I mentioned 6 earlier, but it's 7. Now it's time to tidy up everything. Looking pretty good. Happy with the progress. I'm no more than like an hour and a half into the service. So let's go ahead and mount up the new hardware to close up this whole EGR delete process. All right, so we're gonna use this first plate, 2 washers, 2 bolts. I'm gonna go ahead, mount it up right up here. All right. Use the same factory gasket, new bolts, and that'll be it. I do want to mention,
So on this side of the EGR, you're gonna have some carpet matting. It acts as a heat shield. So there's gonna be, I think, a connector right here, connector right there. And let me see if I can find the top of one. All right, so here we go. They're gonna look like this. There's one, all right, and then there's gonna be a second one. Those two. Make sure you remove those off first before pulling off this EGR. Next, after I put that mounting bolt plate, I'm gonna use this one right here. Make sure that's tight. Use the factory gasket and factory bolts. I probably should put some like stronger, maybe some stainless steel bolts. All right, so quick note for this one, because this is where these two deadly EGR bolts are gonna be mounted up on. Factory gasket, same bolts. I'm using the same bolts. I put some anti-seize, all right, just so we don't run into the same issues. Not too much, just enough. This blocking plate right there came with 2 Allen bolts, 2 washers, and it had a different gasket, so I don't need to use the factory one. Again, guys, if you need every part and material that I've used in this video, go ahead and hit me up on Instagram so you can use the exact same one. But make sure you're following me first, and then I'll go ahead and get back to you with a method. All right, guys, let's get some action in here. All right, so this is sitting just like, wait till it mates. There we go. Gasket's sitting right on top. All right, we can go ahead and grab this plate, this top plate. All right, and so I tightened this up. If I have a sensor I can throw in there, I'll go ahead and throw it in later, but you know, I just want to get this kit thrown on here. So I tightened that up, make sure that's up. All right, so this is going in. Let's go with something like that. All right, 1 bolt, that puppy in there. 2, the puppy in there. All right, there we go. And you're just gonna use the Allen key, the one that I do not have while I'm up here. I gotta go back to my workbench. But I did wanna work it out here in my driveway instead of spilling some coolant in my my garage. Honestly, I probably should have done this in my garage, but if anything did happen, at least my truck was already out here. All right, so I'm gonna get my Allen key bolts. This is already sitting good. That I tightened back there. That looks nice. And now we're just working on this. Cool. All right. So we got what we need. Start with the size 5. All right. Yep, perfect. All right, size 5. Gonna work that in. What you want to do is kind of work this in similar to like what you're doing for lug nuts. All right. Don't tighten one all the way in. Get it snug and then work your way around. One corner to the other corner and then to the middle. Tighten this side. Yeah, like I said, it kind of sucks to get you some action video if I don't have a good mount for it. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this up. Good 1 turn over there. Good right there, it's pretty tight. All right, and you gotta remember it's resting on a gasket, so it doesn't need to be that tight. Let the gasket do the work. But you don't want to allow it to leak. It's good right there. Snug. 2-finger pull. That's good. All right. 1 more drive-by. There we go. Oh yeah. All right. That's what we needed. All right. So let me show you what I just did. Finishing up, taking my time. All right, so I went ahead and zip tied this around here. All right. Remember that plug we removed? Zip tied it right there. I want to make sure it's away from that fan because it will chop it up. Right here, here's the vacuum line that we pulled off. Here are the plugs. Just kind of keeping it elevated from the cylinder head because I do know it gets really hot right around there. EGR will get pretty hot too. Tighten that down, tighten off that block off plate, tighten that block off plate. Yeah, never remove the PCM sensors. That kind of seemed weird. I did reattach this, and make sure this is sat on. You'll be able to tell right there. You just got to make sure it clips in. You got to hear it. You don't want that flying off. Once all of that has been done, honestly, that's the end of the service. Now you're just talking cleanup. Checking the coolant. If you need to throw in some more coolant, you got to do that. I'm probably going to whip it up after throwing on the negative terminals back on each of the batteries. Let me go ahead and tidy up some stuff and then turn on the truck and show y'all. All right, so hopefully this wind isn't impairing the sound. All right, so I put some zip ties on that connection because coolant's about to fly out if I don't. Put the air intake on. I'm about to clip this back in. There we go. Punch that in. Almost forgot that. All right, everything zip tied. Terminals connected again, tightened. So at that connection, I'll put some zip ties. I will put some couplers on there, but I kind of wanted to see how it would turn on or if something that I jacked up. Y'all are gonna be witness. Let's see how this puppy runs. Oh, this shit won't let me start it unless... Well, I gotta get back to the truck because the hood's open and it won't start without it. So, let us see. Hood is open. Let's go. Let's go check this out. All right, anything bleeding out just yet? Not quite. All right, y'all are just gonna have to listen to the truck. I'm not gonna be able to talk over the motor sound. Feeling any coolant. Air intake sounds good. Nothing bleeding out. I'll be honest, I usually do something to fuck shit up. Alright. Alright, so let's see what we got going on. I wish I was up in the hood, have someone to rev the engine. Yes, the vehicle is on. Anything crazy. This is holding up very barely. I do want to get those couplers, but yeah, no check engine light. I guess I'm gonna have to turn it on twice because your check engine light won't turn on unless it detects a fault twice in a row at 2 starts in a row. So anyways, everything's looking good. Shit, yeah. I'll come out, turn it back on again later. I probably won't drive it unless I have those couplers on those cooling lines. That'd be terrible to get caught on the side of the road, the truck bleeding out. All right, guys, so we're nearing the end of the day. You probably need a lot, about 3 hours for the service. Drank a lot of drinks in between then, and just been dealing with some other stuff, putting up some Christmas lights, getting into the Christmas spirit. But yeah, here we go. Those are the 2 pipes. Yeah, I mean, everything that I've used right here, it's an assortment of things: sockets, ratchets, extensions, PB blaster, some picks, Allen keys, pliers, shop towels. I cleaned up my my terminals. Yeah, here's the EGR cooler. Everything came out just as planned. I do have some yellow coolant. Probably grab another gallon of yellow coolant, Ford Motorcraft stuff. And yeah, everything worked out as planned. All right guys, so in a nutshell, the process wasn't bad at all. I got lucky on those 2 EGR bolts, that I do admit. Hopefully you all have the same luck, but it's one of those things where you need to PB blast all the pipe bolts for at least 2 weekends before you actually conduct the service. I gotta be honest, I was a little hesitant before doing this, but after it's all been said and done, it was fairly easy. I can see why people are hesitant on doing this job, but for those who have done it, let me know what you think. Let me know any questions, comments down below. This video is strictly the mechanical how-to to remove or delete your EGR. Again, parts in the description below. If I don't list parts that you may want, go ahead and message me on Instagram. I'll go ahead and put my name up here again. Fairly simple with minimal tools. Hope I helped y'all out. And guys, expect another video of like why I did it first of all, and just a review. So I always like doing a review of what I do on my truck. Kind of like I serve as a guinea pig for a lot of people out there. Subscribers, appreciate it. Let me know down below. But yeah, I'll go ahead and do another video on the why behind why I did my EGR delete. And then second of all, a review behind the actual EGR delete. Again, hope y'all enjoyed this video, but until next time, see y'all.